Hi, my name is Carol Greenslate, and I'm the Director of Disaster Response for the Texas Annual Conference. We thank you, and we are so blessed that you're with us today because you're the hands and feet that will go out and serve the community. In situations like this, our hearts are ready, but we need to be educated in how we're doing this so that we can be the most good and do the least harm in this community. So here's some helpful hints that we would like you to know. First, we're an invited guest. So when we arrive at someone's home, we're going to be very simple and say things like, "So how are you?" We don't want to be solicitors. We don't want to look like we're there to give or sell something with an expectation of something to come back. We are there, neighbor helping neighbor. In order to do that, we have some very helpful little hints and materials. One of them you will be handed is in this notebook. It will have this form, and in this form, you will go to the door. You will ask questions of their name, their address, and what needs they might have along with their phone number. At that point, you're asking if they're interested in some help. If they say yes, find out what kind of help they're looking for, whether it's muck and gut. And muck and gut, by the way, just means that we clean out the wet debris. So we do that as well as removing sheetrock. It also means in some cases we're going to sanitize the studs to keep mold from occurring. If those are the needs that they're asking for, we're going to record it on that sheet. There are other helpful forms in there that you will find that will be homeowner releases along with volunteer releases and resource guides. If they do not need assistance, go ahead and mark that they don't need assistance, but give them one of the resource guides so they'll know how to help themselves. And that help is going to be out there for the weeks and months to come. If you are going to do this work, you're going to need to have the right equipment. First thing I would suggest is you're not going to want to wear these. Out in the community, we know that bayou water, creek water, it's going to have snakes and bugs and all sorts of things, as well as debris we may not notice because of the mud. So there could be nails and other obstructions. Best to have wellies or at least closed-toed shoes. If you have steel-toed shoes, that is ideal. You're also going to need the right equipment. If you're muck and gutting a house, that's pretty much just cleaning. And you'll see the church and the different locations have cleaning buckets. These will have things like rags, sponges, Clorox, and other cleaning supplies like this, along with trash bags. One thing you're also going to want to be armed with, it's Texas. You're going to need your spray for mosquito repellent. So, please have not only your own proper equipment, such as your boots, your shirts, you want to make sure you have plenty of water for you and your team. Typically, a lot of volunteer reception centers may have food, but it's always good to have a couple of protein bars or oatmeal bars, some kind of protein with you in your car because you may not be going back to the volunteer reception area for some time. As we're working with our survivor, there are things that I'd like you to keep in mind, the golden rule. Do unto others. Speak to others in the way, if you were in their situation, you would want to be spoken to. Do not say, God had a plan, because we don't know what God's plan was. Do not say, this happened for a reason, unless we know what that reason is, which we don't. The best, perfect answer to any person you come across, and this also includes those at the grocery store, those in the pickup line at the elementary school. If you haven't been affected and you're speaking to someone who has, all you need to tell them is, I'm sorry you're going through this. Keep it simple, guys. We just need to show them that we care. We don't have to have the answers, and we're not going to be able to fix all the problems today. In fact, we need to be honest and tell them this is a process. But we, the community, we're going to do it together. We are not alone. We'll be working with people with different faiths that may look like us, may not look like us. They may have more money or less money. The flood didn't care who they were, but we do. And anyone affected deserves to have comfort. So we may not necessarily preach what we believe. We're going to live what we believe. So refrain from proselytizing and getting into God language. If they ask you and invite you to pray with them, then by all means you may. Do not be the one suggesting it, though. If you've come across a situation where you believe that this person has needs a lot bigger than just muck and gut, on the back of that form that I showed you earlier, please note follow-up, put an asterisk, something to indicate this is a priority. We're going to uncover people that may not have adequate food. They may not have adequate support. They may need medication. They may need medical assistance. Though we don't offer those services, we can refer and get them connected with those services. We're here together. One of the important things is your own safety, along with the safety of our clients. Your safety comes in the fact that you are going out into a community, and as we've talked before about the proper equipment, we also need to talk about things to remember, like never be alone with a homeowner. Always go in groups no smaller than 2 to 3. You want to have both male and female in your team, and you never want to leave anyone behind. You're going to have the opportunity to speak with clients that are going to be in different states of stress and trauma. Don't take it personal if they yell. In fact, take it as a privilege, because you were sent there so that they can get just a little relief and know that somebody cares. But that doesn't mean that we take abuse. So if somebody is being verbally abusive, we just ask you politely remove yourself and your team out of that situation. Now, those in the Methodist Church for the Texas Annual Conference know that we have a policy called Safe Sanctuary. Most of us refer to that for our children and youth, things like summer camp and vacation Bible school. But really, it's intended for any vulnerable population. And anyone who's experienced a trauma like a flood, you're a vulnerable population. So we want to make sure that we tell them things like, we're not here to take anything from you. We want no money. In fact, we want to make it very clear that we're just the neighborhood church checking on them. So now it's the end of the day. What do you do? Once you're done, or you and your team feel like you have done as much as you're comfortable doing, what you want to come back to the church that you started at. You're going to turn in your folder or whatever was handed to you at that particular church, and you're going to report any information that you want to make sure you point out any of those vulnerable clients. If you did muck and gut, you want to report which houses you did. The other thing is that take a minute and tell people what you saw and what you felt. So you might be asking yourself, okay, so I feel good about what I did today, but what's going to happen next? Well, there's a couple of things to remember. We in the Gulf Coast, we know this is not an overnight solution. Patience needs to be packed wherever we go. We're always watching the skies, and it can always change in a day. So what's going to happen next? This is a long process. It will take us weeks to get the first line of relief work done, which thank goodness you're here to help us do. Then we'll go into a phase of case management, and then there'll be long-term recovery. Remember, we help them in the relief, but there's more help that will be needed. So in the weeks and months to come, if you continue to have a desire to volunteer, please let us know, and we will have many, many projects and missions for people to do around our community. And may everything we do touch and bring healing to those that have been affected by the disaster. Thank you.